Alfredo Tan is a really pride of the Filipinos. It shows not only with his work ethics, but also with his kindness and humility. So Alan, good morning. It's so nice to have you here at the show called Self-Made. And we were so inspired with your story. Please share with us what made you go to Canada.
Sure. So my family and I immigrated in 1978 to Toronto in Canada. And we moved there, like most people that immigrate in the hopes of a better life. We have a lot of family here, but unfortunately it was hard back in those days to do really well versus, Canada, which I call my second home.
What you consider yourself, a Canadian or a Filipino?
Filipino-Canadian. What's interesting about being Canadian is we don't ever forget where our nationality, where we come from, right? So most countries you'll refer to the country that you're in. So if you're American, you probably will say you're American. So I am a proud Filipino living in Canada, so I'm a Filipino-Canadian with a Canadian citizenship.
So what is Filipino to you?
Filipino to me means a lot of things. It represents my family, the values that we have.
What kind of training your parents taught you when you were a kid? Is it more Filipino culture, Canadian culture?
Yeah, I think the whole respect for your parents and the elders absolutely was the rule, but they never enforced thinking that wasn't independent, meaning that they allowed us to have independent thoughts, they allowed us to study what we felt like was important to us. So I think it was a perfect marriage of sort of the family rule and the importance of family intermixed with the allowing us to be dependent and pursue what we want to do with no sort of negative perception of doing something that may not have been a typical Filipino job.
Is it Facebook is your first job?
No, I'm older than I look. I've had many jobs. Academically, I started off as a forensic scientist, molecular biologist. So I'm in this industry by accident more than anything else. So Facebook has been probably one of the most impactful jobs I've ever had. And it's been really terrific in terms of the things I've learned, the things it's given me, and obviously coming to the Philippines on behalf of Facebook to help set up the office here is one of the greatest things I've ever done in my career.
Because of the technology communication that you're doing, what is personal communication to you?
Well, personal communication can mean different things, right? So if you think about Facebook as a technology, we allow you to use it in the way that you want to communicate. So the way I think about communication, personal communication, it depends on the message I'm delivering and who I'm intending the message to be read or heard by, that they can communicate with me as well. So it's a highly adaptive environment, meaning it could be one-to-one or it could be one-to-many and anything in between that.
Yeah. What do you think the best advice that you can give to these young generations right now?
Yeah, despite the fact that we're a technology company, I am still a big fan of face-to-face time.
Okay.
Meaning being in front of you will always be better than not being in front of you. So I think there should be a balance between spending time in person with people as well as living a world online. And the other piece of advice would be that the way you share information, you should be comfortable sharing it and it appearing on the front page of the newspaper. So meaning people tend to behave in this way that they think is erasable, but as we know, everything online is permanent, so you should behave respecting that that's the reality.
What do you think the best advice to the parents also for them to connect to the children?
I think there should just be variances in how that happens. Sometimes, like I was saying earlier, it could be face-to-face. But I think allowing people to, explore the world at large so that they can come back and have a different perspective is important. So that way you can communicate in ways that wasn't possible 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. So I think it's adapting the situation with your parents on what type of communication makes the most sense at the time. It may be text messaging, it may be a messenger chat, it may be a WhatsApp chat, or sometimes it may just be a group conversation together.
When you were young, when you were a teenager, what's your best advice for them to overcome all those trials, struggles in life?
I think the measure of success and what is a good ingredient for success is this thing called grit. Everyone's got challenges in their life. What determines whether you succeed is how you push through that. So my advice for millennials would be, what you're going through probably isn't unique to you. Every generation has had their own version of it. What determines whether you succeed or not is how you show up every day to overcome those challenges. And I often say that everything has an end, meaning that the hardship doesn't stay forever. Eventually, you'll find your way in your passion, the thing that you're good at, and then pursue that with all your heart so that you can succeed in the thing that gives you the most gratification and allows you to have the biggest impact in the world.
So where do you see Philippines going the next 5 years?
This is a mobile-first country. Some countries, it's not mobile-first, meaning we're transitioning from desktop, laptops, notebooks to mobile. This country skipped all that, and it's a mobile-first country. And if you believe that the world is experiencing the biggest consumer shift we've ever seen, what country is best positioned to innovate around the most disruptive thing we've seen, which is mobile? So I think this country can do incredible things around that platform.
And if you see that Philippines is really moving forward and better, it's like first world, why you're not staying here?
Well, my family's back in Canada, and the people that I, obviously love and care about are there. But I'm happy to call this second home. So happy to travel back and forth as much as I can.
So what is the life beyond Facebook to you?
That's a great question. It's been a big part of my life for so long. I think I would like to contribute to the world more at large, meaning giving back to the communities, helping inspire the next generation of business leaders. But like I was saying earlier, how do I get involved in efforts that are bigger than just business, whether it be saving animals, helping those less fortunate, but essentially helping those who don't have the ability to help themselves. And I count myself as very fortunate as having the opportunity, but some people don't even have that opportunity. So I'd love to find ways to give people an opportunity similar to the one that I had.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Every success has its struggles. Every dream has its trials and tests. Listen to their stories, because if they did it, you can also be called self-made.